Okay, there we go. We are live.
Awesome.
Oh, a puppy in pajamas. Oh, we're live. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. We'll be going officially live in just 3 minutes. If you're watching this as a replay later, I saw the cutest puppy on Facebook, but we'll be getting going here in just a couple minutes, everyone. Just get this shared. All right, come on.
Oh, darn. Can I get the first address again?
Yes. freehumandesignchart.com.
Free human design chart. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, maybe if I look at videos. So many moving parts. There we are. All right, got it shared and we'll be officially live in just 1 minute. Karen, it looks like it is perfect, almost summer right where you are.
It is
Like
perfect,
so
perfect.
close.
As much summer as you're going to get in the far north woods of Wisconsin, which as a Texan is not summer. We just have a different kind of winter in the summer here. It's
Oh.
So it's usually in the mid 70s, which to me is still cold, but it's lovely.
Yeah. You would like it here today. It's going to be about mid 80s.
Yeah, that's the beginning of swim weather. 97 is ideal. So
yes. All right, it is 1:00 here on the West Coast, and I welcome you to Light It Up Wednesdays, where we bring the joy and we find the lesson so we can be the light. Today, my special guest is Karen Curry Parker, and she is not only a best-selling author, but she's a pioneer in the field of life coaching and has been speaking, coaching, and training folks for almost 30 years. And she has touched the lives of nearly 100,000 people around the world, including this one. She is also the creator of the Human Design for Everyone training system and the Quantum Alignment system. Her core mission is to help people live the life they were designed to live by discovering who they are, what they are here to do, and how to activate their potential and authentic life path. Today, we'll be discussing the power in asking for what we really want, especially in light of the massive changes that we are facing, along with the fact that we now have to accept we're not going back to our normal again. We're not going back to normal.
Yay.
Yay. Karen will also share just a bit about the Human Design system. So help me welcome Karen. Yes, Karen Curry Parker. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. And I'm so excited. We're going to be talking about it's so beautiful to me that you pluck this topic out. It's literally one of my favorite topics to talk about because I think it's one of the topics that's so much at the heart of why sometimes when we're trying to create unconsciously and deliberately, it's the big place where sometimes I think we get a little bit stuck. So I think unpacking that in this conversation is going to be really fun.
It is going to be really fun. I didn't hear about, like, I heard ask for what you want. I've heard this over the years, but I still didn't really get it until I heard that Rumi poem, The Breeze at Dawn Has Secrets to Tell, Don't Go Back to Sleep. And then he says, you must ask for what you really want. And I think at the time I was being more passive aggressive and I knew what I wanted, but I wasn't going to ask anybody for it because I just
Mm.
felt like I couldn't. So it is a powerful, powerful thing when we can accept it. Just ask.
Yeah, it is. And I think so many times we get hung up on the asking part. It's like, well, how do I ask? And what do I do? And what vibration do I have to hold while I'm asking? And, and it's not the asking that's the problem. I think we're all pretty comfortable with the mechanics of, okay, I ask, right? So I hope you can't hear the boats behind me. It's been totally quiet all morning.
Can't you? No boats.
Good.
No
All right.
boats.
So, I think it's not the mechanics of, oh, ask. It's the mechanics of what do I ask for? And, I think when we talk about asking for what you want, there are so many underpinnings around why we don't allow ourselves to ask for what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think the very first one is the one that is probably the biggest hiccup for most of us. And I think many of us have been trained, consciously or unconsciously, to not ask for more than what we think we deserve, or to not ask for more than the value of our lovability. So our self-worth and our sense of lovability oftentimes really puts a damper and on our even being willing to ask and take the risk of, can I maybe have, we shut that part down. And, I think we're in the middle of a very strange change in the world, as you said. And I really feel like so much of what needs to happen right now for us to be able to consciously and deliberately co-create an equitable, sustainable world of peace, which is totally where I think we're headed. It just doesn't look like, we're just in the hiccup phase, in the dismantling phase. But I think so much of what we have to do for ourselves right now in order to be really powerful co-creators in this process is we have to heal the trauma. We have to heal the karma, if you will, of our self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the energy of value, and in the human design system, which let me give you just a quick background on human design, and then I'll go back to talking about value.
Yes.
Human design is a personality type tool. It's a personality typing tool. There you go. It's one of my books. It's a synthesis of Eastern and Western astrology, the Chinese I Ching, the Hindu chakra system, Judaic Kabbalah, and quantum physics. The way I like to think of it is it's just a really nice integrated Rolodex of human archetypes. And part of why I love this system so much and why I'll be referring to it as we talk is because, when we start talking about, oh, your thoughts, create your reality. And you're like, okay, well, I should change my thoughts. Changing your thoughts is not so simple, right? And sometimes when we have to start exploring, okay, I'm going to change my thoughts. I'm going to live more authentically, right? We use that phrase a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes because being a human is very complicated and it involves not only our consciousness, but actually our biological experience. And we are imprinted from our families. We know now from the science of epigenetics that even our DNA carries ancestral memories that influences who we think we are. That might not be who you really are, but it influences who you think you are. You got told in school that you were a certain way. You've had so many experiences that have sort of pushed you away from being the truth of who you are. It's nice to have a little index that you can scroll to and go, okay, here are all the possible configurations of what it means to be a human being. If I'm going to start looking at what am I,
Mm-hmm.
this gives me a very systematic approach to starting to explore, oh, here's the archetype that I do really relate to, that I do feel like deeply in love with this archetype. I think this is a part of who I really am. And the system itself sort of gives you this nice vocabulary and sort of very pragmatic approach to beginning the exploration of who are you really, which is when we start talking about creating, I create my own reality. That's a statement we talk about a lot. Well, if you don't know who the I is, who's creating the reality, that's where we start asking for things we don't really want. And we think we do want them, but we don't really want them. And because the universe is so infinitely wise and loving, the universe is going, honey, I'm not going to give you that. You don't want that. What are you talking about? Right? And we're like, we're stuck, we're blocked. And the universe is like, no, you're not. You're just not asking for what you really want. I don't get it. Right? So back to, that's human design. Back to the value piece. The chart itself, blueprint of the human story is changing. You've probably heard of the shift, or we're shifting, or we're evolving. I mean, evolution is the imperative of consciousness and the universe. And in the process of this new evolution, this new expression of being a human being in form that we're moving towards, the nature of value and what is truly valuable itself is changing. We have, especially since the end of the scientific revolution, been measuring value with very materialistic metrics, right? You are as valuable as your bank account. You are as valuable as the size of your pants. You are as valuable as your education level, right? We have these interesting metrics that we use. And this definition of value is so much in flux because where we're headed in the most beautiful ways, we're headed towards a new definition of value that says you are valuable because you exist. And it doesn't matter who you know, it doesn't matter what you've done, it doesn't matter what education you have, it doesn't matter what belief system you have, you exist. And because you exist, and we all know that you're an infinite and vital and unique and irreplaceable part of the cosmic plan, we're all going to nurture you and take care of you in the best way possible, because in the tapestry of who we are, you're that thread that if that thread's absent, the tapestry itself is altered. So we understand you're valuable, and you're valuable, and you're valuable, and you're valuable, and I'm valuable. And so we're working on healing this piece. And until we heal this piece, it sometimes makes it difficult for us to ask for what we really want, because we think, am I allowed to have that? Is that okay? Right?
Yeah. When 2 years ago, I took a 14-day manifesting challenge online with you, and you said something that kind of blew my mind. And because there are the 5 human design types, right? And I was all jazzed up. I was like, all right, I'm gonna like work from my type. And you said, to be really good at manifesting, you have to love yourself first. And I was just, yeah, right there.
Yeah. Well, and that is, I mean, think about, I don't know how it is in your family. I'll tell you a story from my family. In my family, my grandmother always gave us money, right? At the end of our visit, she would always give us a $20 bill or something, right? And and every time she'd sort of give us a $20 bill, my mom would swoop in and say, "Oh, no, 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 no," and she'd try to give it back to my mother, right, or to my grandmother, and then it just started this very interesting family dynamic where everybody was not willing to receive the gifts that we gave each other. Now, when somebody is trying to give you something, if I try to give my grandson something, if my daughter would try to like intervene and make it difficult and very dramatic, it would be very, very unpleasant, right? It would be disconcerting, and it would take the joy out of it. When we don't love ourselves and we're not in the flow of giving and receiving love, it shuts down that giving piece and makes that whole giving thing really uncomfortable. The giver can't give, the receiver can't receive, and we can't let ourselves ask for what we really need and want. So lovability is huge, because when you love yourself, you get that it's okay. Again, it goes back to the value. You deserve to receive, and it's not selfish. It's not taking away from someone else, because when you love yourself and you value yourself, you also can very clearly see the value in the love of others. And it puts you in this flow in a much more infinite way. It also supports you in doing the things you need to do to facilitate the creative process, because, you know, we're still third dimensional beings living on a planet. And as much as it would be nice to go, I want an apple, poof, right? We still have to go to the grocery store. Most of us, maybe some of you can do this without going to the grocery store, or I don't know, maybe you call Instacart at this point, right? But you know, you still have to take that action. And some of the things that we have to take action on are things that are about positioning ourselves to be receptive. So think about physical health and wellness as an example. There are many, many things that we want to do with our lives, but you can't do them if you're not healthy, right? If you don't eat well, or you don't take your vitamins, or you don't work on your physical strength and flexibility. And I'm not saying you have to run a marathon, but you know, you got to at least keep your body running so that you can sustain yourself through life.
Right.
If I want to speak on stage for a 4-day workshop or training, that takes a certain amount of physical stamina. If you don't love yourself, you're not going to set the stage for doing those things you want to be doing and creating that space for you to receive. You might not be taking your vitamins. You might be going, oh, I'm just going to watch Netflix. I can't bother. I'm going to, you put off doing those things that you need to do to set the stage to receive what it is that you want to receive.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite authors, Catherine Ponder,
Mm-hmm.
she talked about preparing ourselves to receive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's opening the way. I mean, we could check off a box, something that we wanted, but we have to prepare ourselves to receive it too.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which, there's another part of that too that is also really kind of insidious. And that second part is that if we're not loving and valuing ourselves, we run the risk of rationalizing and settling. And it's a dodgy line to walk when you're in a spiritual community and you're walking a conscious, deliberate path, because there are things that are going to happen to you in your life that you might never ever know, maybe until you die and you high five your spirit guides later or whatever. You might never know why it happened to you. You might not know, let's say if you get cancer, why did you get cancer? Was it something that you did? Was it something in the environment? Maybe it was nothing. Obviously, it's not anything you're consciously intending, right?
Right.
And there are things that happen that you can't resist. You will serve yourself better to bring yourself into alignment with, right? Let's say cancer as an example. If you're having the experience of cancer, there's a part of you that has to accept the situation. That's not give up, that's not settling, but you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and go, okay, this is what's in front of me. In whatever way I need to deal with it, this is what's in front of me, right? So there is that place where you know that you're going to save yourself energy and push off against a negative experience as a part of your creative process. But then there's the other part where you're going, okay, am I accepting this or am I literally settling for less than what I deserve? Is this partnership, for example, a reflection of my self-love? Or am I rationalizing staying in a situation that's really not feeling loving to me?
Yeah.
Is this situation me settling for less than because I think I can't have because, right? So that's probably one of the second hiccups is settling for less than. So the lovability, self-worth, value, settling for less than, rationalizing, which also kind of threads back to lovability and self-worth. And then I think the third piece, and this is the part that I really love to explore and invite people to explore, is creation is a magical process. And I use the word magic deliberately because I think when we think of magic, we have a tendency to think of something that is quote unquote impossible, right?
Yes.
And things that are seemingly impossible are really just things that break the pattern, right? When you have a miraculous healing, for example, that miraculous healing is magical because the pattern is you have an 80% chance of dying of this in 5 days, right? That's the pattern. And the miraculous healing says, right? And so we're like, ooh, that's magic. And creation is a magical process when you know how to harness faith. And that's really the key element. And that's a big piece of where we're headed in this evolution that we're in. We're learning how to create with faith. We're learning how to live from a place of faith, from a place of knowing to the cells of our being that we are sufficient, meaning, and I'm not using the word abundance here because I think sometimes we're out of balance with the idea of abundance, at least in America. I'm talking about we are moving towards a place where our faith is going to give us the awareness, is giving us the awareness that we have everything we need, right? We have the food, the shelter, the care, and that's not the bare minimum. So sometimes people are like, oh, that sounds scary. That's like going on a diet. No, it's not going on a diet. It means faith gives us the platform to go, I don't have to worry about anything. I'm safe, I'm provided for, I have all the basics met. And that having that awareness allows us actually to have this giant springboard into creating something pretty fantastic in the human experience that I think we haven't seen yet. I think we're on the cusp of a creative revolution in as humans. But faith is the driver, and trusting that the magic that you have access to magic that allows you to break the patterns and manifest something seemingly impossible. And that in fact, when you understand the science of manifesting, the seemingly impossible is actually logical. because there's a pattern to creating it, right?
Mhm.
So one of the things that stops us short from asking for what we really want is our logical minds, and we're all so deeply trained to be logical. Our school system's logical. Science is
Yes.
logical. We're so deeply entrained with logic that when we say, "Oh, here's what I really want," what I really want is to take a year off because I'm so burned out, and I don't have the energy for work at all. Even my dream job, if it came my way right now, I'd be like, "Oh God, how am I going to do this? I'm so tired." Right?
Yes.
But our logical mind, our conditioning says, you can't make money if you don't work. That's the pattern, right? And so we're like, well, okay, I can't take a year off because I can't make money if I don't work. And if I don't have money, I'm not going to have it, Instead of saying, here's what I really want. I really want to live into the energy and the frequency of the faith. I want to occupy fully the energy and the frequency of the faith of knowing that I am so well supported that I can take a year off and restore, regenerate, replenish, resource myself so that I can then go back out into the world and discover and live and embody the
Mhm.
true expression of who I really am. But we get afraid to ask for those things because we think, oh, that's impossible. Oh, that's magical thinking.
Mhm.
Or and we all know this one too, and this, I'm not saying anything you guys don't know, but or we get stuck in, well, I don't know how. And when we don't,
Mhm.
when we think, oh, I don't know how, think about, again, go back to our conditioning. What happened like in second grade, or maybe a little bit older, maybe fourth grade, when you started learning things like how to add big numbers together and you had to do like 8 of them, right? And carry the one, right?
Yeah.
And you'd look at these big numbers like, oh my gosh, right? And you didn't know how, right? And you would say, I don't know how to do this. And the teacher would go, that's it, you're out of here. You're going to have to go to special ed or whatever, or,
Mhm.
and we start going, okay, it's not okay to not know how. I think
Mhm.
that's I think that's one of the lessons we're learning right now in this cycle that we're in with COVID. It's forcing us to go, don't know what's going to happen. Don't know how what we don't know is going to happen.
Yeah.
Every day has sort of become this journey into the unknown. And I think we're
Mhm.
still in this journey in the unknown. And it is giving us permission, I think, to practice knowing that we're okay even if we don't know how. And if we
Yeah.
don't know how, and we're floating out here in this void, which is really where we're at, we've disrupted this old identity that what we used to be. And we're sitting in this sort of loving cosmic container that's saying, okay, you don't know who you are anymore, and it's okay, it's good, because now you get to consciously and deliberately craft what you want, and you don't have to know how. It's okay. You don't have to know
Right.
how, but you do have to at least start engineering point B on the map. And that point B is, what do you want? Which I think is really
Yes.
the most important question we need to be entertaining right now. What do you want?
Right. Yeah,
So,
one of our favorite affirmations at Unity is the reminder that we don't have to know what to do. We don't have to know how to do anything, that there's that within, and it knows what to do, how to do it, and it compels us to act on what it knows. And one of the things I've noticed, when I can actually decide what it is that I want,
uh-huh.
then all of a sudden there's just little things that just pop in,
Mm-hmm.
supporting my next step in that direction.
Totally.
Yeah.
So this is one of the reasons why I am obviously in love with human design, because one of the things that human design gives people is, in the system itself, there are 5 energy types. And each energy type has a little bit of a different way of interfacing with the universe.
Yes.
To a certain degree, almost all of us have some sort of waiting as part of our creative process, which we don't like because we're not patient as a rule, but most of us have to in some way wait. The manifestor types are about 8% of the population. This is an energy type that has an internal nonverbal creative flow that's here to follow this sort of spark of divine inspiration and go out and do what it needs, do what they need to do following this divine spark.
Yes.
This manifestor type has to wait for the inner alignment, that click that says, okay, now it's the right time. There are 2 other types called the generator types. One is called a pure generator. One is called a manifesting generator. I think you're a manifesting generator. I'm a manifesting generator, right? I think Adam is a generator.
Yes.
So the generator types, and that's about 70% of us, we're actually designed to make decisions based on what presents itself in the moment. We're designed to follow the cues and the clues, like as you were just saying, to see what shows up and then to know the next right step from that moment, which is so different than how so many of us are, again, trained. Now, I used to hire business coaches all the time to help me with my business. I finally gave up because they were like, well, you need to have a plan. And I'm like, I can't plan. I mean, I have ideas, I have intentions, but
Right.
don't make me make a plan, because tomorrow, who knows what's going to show up, right? So, I have built my business and my life, on doing kind of just what you just said, Deanna, see what shows up and then
Yes.
go, hey, this is awesome, I'm going to do it. Or go, I think I need to tweak my intentions a little bit. This is cool, close, but not quite. So, all right. The fourth type in human design is called the projector. Now, projectors are about 20% of the population. They're very, very rare, not as rare as our other last type, but they're rare and they're precious. And they have a unique role in the world of managing and guiding others. They are oftentimes healers. They're oftentimes empaths. They are oftentimes people who work in some way in professions that are about guiding and teaching other people. They have a very interesting way of interfacing with the universe. First of all, their biggest challenge, the thing that they are here to learn most on a spiritual plane, is to trust in the sufficiency of the universe, because they need to be supported, because they're not here to work in the traditional way that we think of as work, and they don't really have the energy for it.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is, they're not here to manage and guide everyone. They're here to manage and guide the people who get the value of who they are, to find those people, or to be present, to be found by the people who see the value of who they are, and then recognize and invite them into leading them, into managing them. That means if you're a projector type, you sometimes have to wait a year or two for the big invitations in life. You don't have to wait for the little stuff. You don't need to wait to get an invitation to go fill your car with gas, but you do need the little invitations. And our last type is the reflector. Reflectors are about 1% of the population, and they are really here to be karmic mirrors, to reflect back to us the health of our communities. So let's say if you had a reflector member in your church, you have a reflector husband, right? If you have a reflector member in your life, in your church, or in your community, that reflector is revealing to you through the way that they live, through their embodiment, to their energy, how are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
What's the energy of the community or the people around you? So
Mm-hmm.
the beautiful part about the types is that when you understand your type, it starts to give you, first of all, insights into why you want what you want. A projector, for example, is going to very often want some kind of recognition. They want to feel heard. They want to feel seen. And oftentimes they're trying to do things in life, like manifest careers that have a lot of visibility in them, because they need that visibility to be recognized. But they don't understand that sometimes what they really might not want is that actual career.
Mm-hmm.
But what they want is to feel heard, to feel acknowledged, to feel valued,
Yeah.
and to get that invitation from people who value them into serving in the way that's right for them. Or maybe what they really want is to have permission to say, you know what? I'm really not here to work, not in the way that I've been trained to work. And I need to find a way of creating a resource stream for myself, or I need to attract, create, manifest a way of creating support for myself without me having to work. And it's totally possible. People do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that is, okay. So this was the first book of yours that I really, really dived into, like, so deeply. And it was so fun to just like read about my family. And I was wrong about my husband. He is actually a projector.
okay.
And when I read about the projector and started inviting him to consider things, because I know he's not doing what his work doesn't bring him that, that feeling, and that just made such a difference in how he would look at things.
Yeah. So
this is some very, very powerful stuff. Now, Karen has shared a website with us, and it is the free design chart.
freehumandesignchart.com.
freehumandesignchart.com. And Adam has posted that both on the Facebook live stream and here in the chat box. You can go get your free chart later today and find out what you are.
Yes, absolutely. And that'll actually give you not just your chart, but a lot of good resources. So you're not looking at this strange chart going, what is that?
Right.
So-
Oh yeah. It is a strange chart.
It is a strange chart. It looks very alien. Oh, nice.
It is so much fun though. It is so much fun. Well, Karen, I just want to thank you so much for being here today. This
Thank you
is
for having me.
this is a time in our lives right now, like more than any other time that I can remember in my history. We're being loving with ourselves right now
Mhm.
and getting really clear on what it is we want. That's what's going to be moving us forward.
Totally. So can I just throw one last piece out here? Because
yes.
I think that we're being called forward, not just individually into creating beautiful lives for ourselves so that our beautiful life becomes a building block of a collective beautiful life for the world.
Mhm.
But I think we're also being called forward to not only ask what do we want personally, but what do we want for the world? And that the world right now, maybe we don't have the how yet, but the world right now really needs us to hold a vision of equity, equitability, of justice, of sustainability and peace. And
Yeah.
if we need to really be continuing to hold that energy, that vision, that frequency, to really get clear about what do we want the world to look like. And I
Mhm.
think for many of us, we're seeing very much what we don't want. And something that don't want peace is obviously, as I know you all know, is the pushing off point for what do you want. And to consciously and deliberately every day look at, if you need to look at the news, some of you it's too harsh, but look at the news and go, okay, don't want that. What do I really want instead?
Yes.
I want justice. I want peace. I want sustainability. I want
Yes.
everybody to be fed. I want children to be safe and happy. Create that.
Yes.
We need to create, we are in a process of creating that with the visions we hold on a daily basis.
Right. Thank you for giving me another way to look at this. Like we're seeing right now what we don't want.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the do want that comes out of that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that, Karen.
You're welcome. You're
Thank you.
welcome.
All right. Well, that is it for today. So I want to thank everyone for showing up on Facebook, and I thank you for watching this live stream later.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank you so much for being here today, Karen.
Thank
Karen
you.
Curry Parker.
It's my honor. I'm so honored. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Adam, you can go ahead and end the live stream for us. So bye, everybody. Bye, Facebook.
Bye.